What's up everybody, Section 8 here, and today I'm going to do my review on the Glaz thermal scope. Now it has been out for a while now, and I know this is a topic that seems to spark a lot of argument. I do want to say here that one of the reasons I enjoy the Tom Clancy's game is the realism that is put into the game, unlike some other games where the point is to John Rambo the other team. Tom Clancy's games have always held the strategy and need for careful planning, which has made them so enjoyable. There are tons of videos out there that are all about how good he is, so if you're wanting to hear all the praise, go check those out. This video is going to be about the negative points of the Glaz scope, and is strictly from my play experience and my own opinions formed from it. I want to start by saying that yes, I do actually like the Glaz thermal scope, as it makes life so much easier now to pick out targets. This video is just to give a view of the other side of the coin. Let's start by watching and listening to the operator's bio.
Do you know what an artist and a sniper have in common? Details. Like when a touch of color is out of place, when a shadow does not match with its surroundings, or when a shape is not where it is supposed to be. The only difference is the stakes. Mine are higher.
So after watching that, let's get right into my point. Number 1. The thermal scope does not seem to operate on electronics or batteries of any sort. You can see this because when Glaz is near a signal disruptor, his thermal sight does not seem to get disrupted. This seems to be weird, considering if you look at all the other electronics that do get disrupted, it seems to make no sense why Glaz is immune to this. And I'm also not talking about being able to sight through the disruptor. I'm obviously more referring to Glaz sitting on top of a disruptor and his thermal scope still working. This also seems to work with the EMP grenades from Thatcher. I've seen games where Glaz was right beside an EMP grenade going off and his scope is still unaffected. Number 2. His teammates do not show up on the thermal scope. Now I know you could say that the team is wearing a thermal blocking suit, much like an insulated jacket. However, heat would still escape through the spots that are open, such as the neck and face. Allowing the enemy team to glow seems illogical in a game that seems to try to stick to real physics. Number 3. Glaz used to be effectively used by skilled players that knew how to spot targets and where to be covering. Now it seems that anyone can just pick up Glaz and use him. Before, I would be impressed when a player using Glaz would get 2 or 3 kills in a round. Now that tends to be the norm, unless the enemy team is moving in prone to avoid any open windows or holes. Even my 9-year-old stepson now uses Glaz and can get a number of kills using this operator. Glaz seems to be a character now used in every round by the attacking team, sometimes even on maps where long range does not seem to be a useful option. I'm looking at you here, Yacht. Number 4. The entire body is yellow, yet any other heat nearby is not yellow. Now this is a technical nitpick. A thermal camera, or optic, is designed to pick up variants of heat signatures. You can see this by looking at a FLIR camera. In the case of Glaz, the entire target lights up yellow, including the boots, clothing, helmets, and armor. This doesn't make any sense, as those parts of the body would be blocking heat from escaping, forcing the heat to escape from other exposed areas of the body. Variable degrees of body heat should be present when looking down the scope, ranging in the normal thermal colors from blue being cold to white being hottest. When looking at boots, for example, I could look over this little flaw in the scope if the boots were a slightly brighter color than the surrounding cold areas. However, even the boots show up yellow like the exposed skin of the target. It seems to me that a chance for the realism was overlooked for a more simpler programming code. Now the argument I have heard is that the electronics in the scope see the target and make all the heat variants to glow yellow. Interesting thought, but this would require a processor or 2 in the scope, which would run at a frequency and be able to be blocked by the mute disruptors or fried from the EMP grenades. One theory tends to counteract another. Now, for a few things I could see that could fix Glaz's scope and bring it more in line with the realism of a Tom Clancy game. A. Allow the defenders to take a thermal suit as a piece of equipment in place of barbed wire or impact grenades. Taking a suit in case of a Glaz would give the defender a chance to block the thermal scope at the loss of another possible vital piece of equipment. Taking the suit instead of the impact grenade or barbed wire for Caveira makes more sense, as she needs to be more invisible. However, Castle taking the suit instead of his equipment may not seem that useful when he is camping the objective. B. Have Glaz's teammates show up in the thermals as well, but place a paint or armband that would show that they are friendly in the scope. thermal insulating paint that shows up as a big blue X on their back and chest seems to be more realistic to me than them not showing up at all. This would make the Glaz have to spot the mark, letting him know it is a friendly, rather than seeing yellow and shooting the gun like it's newsy. C. When too close to EMP grenades or signal disruptors, have the scope be blocked and be a regular sight again. As the processor would shut down, the scope would be just a regular scope, showing the regular surroundings again, not in the thermal range. D. Adjust the thermal signature to be a more realistic feeling. Program the code so that Armor 1 characters have more signature, where Armor 3 characters would be blocking more of the heat escaping, showing smaller areas of the signature. Allow boots to be a slight color variance from the rest of the surroundings, but not so much that a prone enemy's feet stand out too much. E. Show other heat signatures. The objectives seem to be steaming, which makes me believe that the contents are emitting a heat. Certainly the hostage gives off thermal signal, as there would have been no prep for the hostage to make him thermal proof. These both should give off heat, possibly even allowing defenders to hide behind to cover part of their own heat signature. In my opinion, a few small changes would make Glaz a character that a beginner could use to play with, but a skilled player could use to be very effective for his team. Well, these are a couple of my issues with the new Glaz thermals. Like I said before, I do enjoy the new Glaz scope and the challenges that defending against it brings. I just feel that it is a little dirty compared to how awesome yet realistic it could be. Comment below if you agree or disagree with any points, or if you have any other suggestions that would make Glaz feel a lot more realistic with this new weapon. And don't forget to like and subscribe below. My viewers are what motivates me to make more videos.